Now, with the introduction out of the way, in this video, I want to go through the roadmap of the course just so you know what's upcoming and you know where you're at all times. Now, this course is very structured. We'll first go through the introduction. The introduction is the section you're currently in, where we'll go through again the course roadmap, but we'll also go through the theory behind creating an application or solution that uses OpenAI. We'll go through how to reach out to me if you have questions, how to succeed in this course, how to leave a rating, who I am. You'll get a quick introduction to me, and you'll get to understand how the actual technology and platform works with what you're watching this on. Okay? Perfect. We'll then quickly get into a crash course on OpenAI and ChatGPT. Now, this will not be technical in any nature, but there are some key concepts like prompt optimization, tokens, temperature, what's the difference between OpenAI, ChatGPT, and GPT-3 that you need to know about before we even start creating and integrating ChatGPT into our technologies. We'll then go through environment setup, and this is actually very important because, again, not everybody knows what we're doing here, and we need to make sure everyone has a good baseline. Now, if you're already a very good developer, even a very good no-code developer, then you can skip the step. But if you're not, then you do need to kind of go through and download the tools like Visual Studios, Python, those kinds of things, because we will use them in the course, especially at the very beginning, to set up our API. Afterwards, we'll use those technologies instead, like no-code platforms, but at the beginning, we need to set up our wrapper API correctly. And that's what we'll do next, actually. We will create a serverless wrapper API with ChatGPT. Basically, all that means is we know that OpenAI has an API that enables you to access the models underlying ChatGPT. What we'll do is we'll create a wrapper function in Azure Functions that will go over that OpenAI API so we can actually communicate it with it one-on-one. Now, that does seem a bit complicated, but trust me, we'll go through it in much, much more detail than that. Just know that that's the first step that we'll do is we'll create a serverless wrapper API with ChatGPT. Once you do that, the possibilities are endless. After that, we'll learn how to actually integrate ChatGPT with different platforms. So we'll have a section on, for example, how to integrate it with Outlook, with Power Apps, with Bubble, with Teams, with Airtable, and so on and so forth. Now, it's very common where once you know how to integrate it with 2 or 3 of these, that the rest become a lot easier. And you'll see that throughout the course as well. There will be a lot of commonalities there. But before we even start creating applications, what we need to do is we need to make sure that everyone understands how to integrate the ChatGPT API and the technology in these different use cases. And we're not just talking about, for example, for Outlook, just taking that, copying and pasting that into ChatGPT. We're actually talking about creating an Outlook extension, like something you click on the very top of your ribbon that calls ChatGPT. And again, we can do this with Power Apps, Bubble, Power BI, a lot of different platforms. Finally, and probably the most exciting things, is we will create full, real solutions and applications with ChatGPT. For example, we'll create a very cool application called CoverletterCreator.io. A similar app to this actually received a lot of funding using ChatGPT. So, if your goal is to make an app that makes money, this is definitely where a lot of Silicon Valley dollars are going in these days. We'll create an app called Stock Photo PPT. We'll create an app called Politely Say No, which will be an Outlook extension. We'll create my favorite app called Travel Plan, where a user puts in where they want to go, how long they're going to be there for, when they're going to be there, and actually create a day-by-day itinerary for them using ChatGPT and more. Finally, we'll go through the conclusion. And in the conclusion, especially for this course, I want to make sure that you're part of this community because you will have questions. And I know a lot of smart people join my course who are entrepreneurs as well. So it's good to make sure that you join that community because you can learn a lot from each other. And we'll also talk about some further reading as well and how you can take your ChatGPT technology and your application to the next level. And that is the roadmap of the course. Hopefully that was helpful. Let's now move on to the next video and get started on some fun things.